Welcome back to Living in Austin, Texas. As many of you probably know by now, one of the most popular up-and-coming and booming suburbs in the entire greater Austin area is none other than Leander, Texas. And as a result, due to popular demand over the years on this channel, we have talked at length about Leander, the good and the bad. However, it has been quite a while by now since we last touched on the subject, so I thought we are long overdue to do it once more, giving you an idea of whether or not it is still a good idea to live there. So stay tuned. Hey again everybody, my name is Frank. I am the man in the chair. I make the videos happen with my yappin' for one of the original Living in Austin channels, and I am partnered with our killer, our closer, licensed agent Caleb Reitmer, and together we help people just like you who are wanting to relocate to the greater Austin area find that perfect spot. So don't hesitate. Whether you are 9 days away or 90, reach out to our team. Whether you shoot us a text, send us an email, give us a call any day of the week, any time of day, it is what we love to do. So yes, as mentioned in this video, we are talking about the ever popular Leander, Texas. And I find it interesting because if we were to go way back in time to when I first started this channel and all I had was a cheap green screen behind me and you told me that Leander, Texas would become the hotspot that it did, I would not have believed you. I would have sooner said Austin itself, or maybe that North Austin Tech Hub with all of the relocation that we've seen. But alas, a majority of the clients, contracts, and closings we've had since starting this channel have been for none other than Leander, Texas. It astounds me, but not for no good reason. That's kind of the thing. What makes Leander, Texas so appealing? Has it changed for the better or the worse? Is it still a good idea? That's what we're going to talk about in this video, going over some of the basics of what we feel you need to know about Leander, Texas to help you arrive at your own conclusions. So let's waste no more time and get right to it. For starters, let's discuss something that is equally basic and essential, which would be the location of Leander, Texas. Where the hell is it? So, if you're looking at Austin, Texas on the map, Leander, Texas, depending of course on where exactly in Leander you live, because it has expanded quite a bit, is nonetheless on average going to be right around 25 to 35 minutes removed from the heart of downtown Austin. In my opinion, at least just looking at the map, I would say that Leander looks further away from downtown than 25, 30, or 35 minutes. But the thing is, when you live in Leander, you are so close to the 183A toll road, which I believe is very attractive for people because you drive just a few minutes from your house to that toll road, and then you take it south until it becomes 183, and then you can either take 183 to Mopac or you can take 183 to I-35. Either way, what I'm trying to say, especially if you're not from here and that all sounds confusing, is that if you live in Leander and you're trying to get downtown, it is basically a straight shot down the freeway. Worth mentioning as well is that the proximity from Leander, Texas to that North Austin Tech Hub is going to be about 15 minutes, maybe 20 if you get some bad traffic. And the reason I feel that is relevant to bring up is because a lot of our clients in the past have relocated to the greater Austin area, not to work downtown, but to work in tech. And while many of them, yes, do work from home, a lot of them are either still in office or they have a hybrid work model, so they need to commute. So just keep that in mind. It really does feel like a hop and a skip away, especially if you're relocating from a place like, say, San Francisco. A lot of our clients have come from California, where you're used to commutes of 1 hour, maybe 2 hours just to get there, and then 2 hours to get back. You're driving 4 hours a day. That is not going to be your reality should you live in Leander, Texas, and are working either out of downtown or in tech. So the more you know. Up next, let's talk about the things to do in Leander, Texas, and this segment is where I will absolutely exercise my license to be as brutally honest as I want, at risk of disenchanting you, but so that you know what to expect. In my opinion, that's kind of the catch of Leander, Texas. I mean, it is suburbia, so you kind of know going into it that it's not going to have all the things that Austin itself is going to offer. But in my opinion, compared to some other suburbs that you have to choose from, Leander is going to lack a bit in that department. So here's what I mean. Unlike Georgetown, Texas, which has a rich history, it's about 45 minutes from the city. Unlike Round Rock, which is kind of like this second Austin in a way, like this massive suburb slash city that might not have the same history Georgetown does, but has expanded quite a bit. Unlike those places, Leander used to be kind of a rural suburb. There really wasn't much to do. It was very quiet. You just had your neighborhoods and you had your schools, which we'll get to in a little bit. And thankfully, Leander, Texas has since evolved. It has expanded quite a bit. You have too many new shopping centers to count. I think you have 2 H-E-Bs now, which is a godsend because we can all agree here in Texas that H-E-B is the best grocery store on the planet. So you're going to have things like that, places to go grocery shopping, of course, places to go clothes shopping as well. You're going to have big brand stores, but nothing like the city, obviously, or not even like Georgetown, I would say, because at least in the case of Georgetown, you have your town square, you have your boutique shops, your antique stores, your eateries, things like that. Leander is going to feel like a brand new, kind of like recently opened suburb that has your main shopping, your chain restaurants, but that's about it. So that might be something that you're looking for, or it might not. The good news is, as mentioned, should you want a lot more things to do, you're going to have a plethora of options because you are pretty well located in Leander. Now, what I will say is once upon a time, there was more light at the end of the tunnel for Leander because it had these developments that were in store, and these are very big developments. Well, I have good news and I have bad news. One of those developments is still happening. The other development, however, is not, and that gets kind of juicy in my opinion. One of those developments was called Leander Springs. It was going to be a 4-acre lagoon full of commercial spaces, full of residential spaces, and hotel areas. However, come to find out, as of 2024, it no longer looks like that's going to be the case. And in quite a sketchy or shady way, might I say. This headline says, Leander's Lagoon project appeared to owe millions to contractors. A 78-acre site in Leander that was supposed to become a $1 billion mixed-use project sits empty today, nearly 4 years after the plans for the project were first announced. Apparently, the developers have been hit with more than a dozen liens because so many people have gone unpaid. Another part of that being that earlier in 2024, the city of Leander terminated a $22 million agreement for incentives, all because the developer missed certain deadlines in the first phase. I mean, this whole thing is just messy and unfortunate because yes, for years on this channel, we have made videos about Leander, Texas, and I would talk about how one day they're going to have this epic lagoon, this recreational hotspot for people to flock to and have fun, really putting Leander on the map. I probably in hindsight have given false hope to people who live in Leander, but please do not blame me because I don't think any of us saw this type of thing coming, this kind of drama, this kind of controversy. So I do apologize, but that is some bad news regarding Leander. If nothing else, to just miss out on something that sounded super duper cool. Now, good news is you still have the North Line project. North Line, in case you don't know, is going to be like the Domain. And in case you don't know the Domain, it is basically a high-end epic outdoor shopping center with restaurants, theaters, a bar strip, that kind of thing. It is a staple of the greater Austin area, and North Line is apparently going to blow it out of the water. It's going to be a newer, bigger, better version. But there is good and bad news to North Line as well. The good news is that is happening. That is not going to be some controversial failure like the lagoon. The bad news is there's still quite the timeline with North Line. According to my notes, the residential homes have begun construction as recently as 2022. So you can already live in that area and watch your home appreciate as it begins to explode. The bad news is the commercial development only broke ground in 2024 and is expected to continue to break ground and develop until 2031. In other words, in 2031, Northline will finally be finished, and until then, it's going to be a work in progress. So, in terms of appreciation and getting in now before prices really skyrocket, that's kind of a silver lining. The bad news is, should you live in Leander, Texas now, and you want things to do, other than the stuff I already mentioned, that's kind of just, classic suburbia, until 2031, you're not really going to have a ton of options. And of course, you're not going to have that lagoon either. So again, I do apologize for being the bearer of bad news, but if you're going to live in Leander, Texas, do not expect anything like Austin itself, or even to some extent, as mentioned, Round Rock and Georgetown. So just keep that in mind. Keeping it moving, let's briefly talk about these schools in Leander, Texas. So back to the original question, right? What is it about Leander, Texas that makes it so appealing, that makes it such a hot spot? The thing is, there's no one clear-cut answer. It is a combination of a lot of things that Leander does have going for it. But if you ask me, if I had to pick one, the answer would be the school district. I mean, the school district in Leander is so revered now. It is the cream of the crop district, I would say, in the entire greater Austin area. Technically, there is one school district that is super duper small in comparison, and it's in the West Lake Hills, which is basically the most expensive real estate that all of Austin has to offer. That would be the Eanes Independent School District. But I don't really count that because, again, as mentioned, it's a very, very small sample size. Of course, its metrics are going to be a little bit skewed because of that. On the other hand, Leander, Texas is absolutely massive. It has absolutely evolved and blown up as a district. And for the longest time outside of that aforementioned Eanes district, you had the Round Rock Independent School District. That is part of why Round Rock exploded the way it did, because outside of Eanes, Round Rock was the cream of the crop, at least on a large scale. However, in the past 10 to 15 years, I would say, Leander and Round Rock are this, Leander, Round Rock, it has done this and then that. I would say Leander, Texas has really surpassed even Round Rock as the most respected, sought-after district in the greater Austin area. And I mean, I don't know what state you might be coming from, but these public schools in Texas, man. I mean, I'm not just talking about Leander or even Austin. I'm talking about Dallas, Houston, San Antonio. Texas takes public schools so seriously. Like, they take it as seriously as we take HEB or Buc-ee's. Public schools here are amazing, honestly. I mean, I was raised in the Leander Independent School District. I acknowledge some bias there, but I mean, it would be a bit silly of me to brag about a district like all these years later. It really is that good. You know, in other states, I've met people in my travels who went to public schools that didn't have working air conditioning, that had homeless people sleeping in the stairways, that still had chalkboards and out-of-date technology. I mean, Leander is the antithesis of that. I mean, these kids have MacBooks now. I mean, the technology is so advanced. They build new schools. Like, an old school in the Leander district is probably 20 years. I mean, since then, they have made brand new schools that are just absolutely beautiful, elementary, middle, and high school. I mean, you have football stadiums that rival some college stadiums. I mean, you know, don't get me started on how seriously Texans take football. So, I mean, Leander, Texas, not even just that. I mean, you have auditoriums, you have performance arts centers, things that are just so state-of-the-art and so magnificent with all of the funding and boosters that these parents also contribute to the district. So just keep that in mind. According to niche.com, if you don't want to take my word for it, niche.com is a public information website that talks about places to live in the entire country. Niche.com gives the Leander Independent School District an A+. And I say it with that tone because it doesn't really do that often. I mean, for the longest time, Round Rock was maybe an A- or an A. Leander was maybe an A- or an A. Eanes, that other one in Westlake, was always an A or an A+. But it's not shy of giving districts a C+, a C-, a B, a B-. So for Leander to have an A+, according to niche.com, that is something you can take to the bank, not just hearing it from me. That validates, in my opinion, what I'm saying. So yeah, back to the question of what does Leander have to offer? The schools. That is the biggest draw, in my opinion. People who come here either with kids already in school or people who come here with plans to start a family one day. Look at Leander, which is designed with the schools and the neighborhoods in mind, right? Like, a lot of these kids just walk to school, or you know, they don't even need buses in some cases. It really is a masterly planned suburb for the school districts, in my opinion. So if that's something that you're looking for, look no further. I mean, Leander, Texas is going to be that place for you. However, in the spirit of fairness, if you're looking for a place to live and you might not be trying to start a family and you like Leander for certain reasons, but I mean, between the things to do and you perhaps not wanting to have kids one day, in some cases I could see it just not making sense, but that is the ultimate suburb, or at least in the with regards to the school districts. So take that as you will and keep it in mind as well. All right, last but certainly not least, let's talk about the affordability of Leander, Texas. And this one also comes with some good news and some not so good news. The good news is Leander, Texas still affordable? Yes, actually. I mean, relatively affordable, right? If you're comparing it to Austin, yes, it is. The bad news is, has it become less affordable since becoming a hotspot? Also, yes, right? A few years back when I would talk about Leander on this channel, you would see a median home price tag of maybe 350 to 400 or into the fours if you're going to get something nicer. Now the median home price in Leander, Texas ranges between 450 to $500,000. So when I say it is affordable, in the grand scheme of the greater Austin area, that is still affordable, at least, with certain references, right? Now, is it the most affordable? Absolutely not. If you want to move to Taylor, Texas, where there's really nothing going on, you're going to find homes in the high twos and the low threes. Same with, say, Maynard. You can even still find low prices in Pflugerville. But Leander, with the schools, with these new communities of homes, these brand new construction homes, and property taxes, by the way, that are going to 3%, sometimes above 3%. It's going to be nice, right? And the thing about Leander, Texas as well is, and this is a good thing and a bad thing, you have such selection for your budget, right? Leander, Texas has some master planned gated communities, kind of looking at the hills of Austin, and those homes can be easily $1, $5, $10 million. At the same time, you're going to have these new build communities in Leander that are very entry level, that are very first time buying friendly in terms of being in the 300s or the low fours. That is going to be a thing, and you're going to have everything in between. So I will say these numbers might be a little bit skewed in terms of just how expensive it can get, and you're looking at the median. But it is still affordable, in my opinion. It's just getting to that point where it's becoming less and less and less, especially with the completion of Northline by 2031. I would expect this to change. Not that I have some crystal ball in front of me, but you kind of just put two and two together. But that is what you can expect with Leander, Texas. That $400,000 to $500,000 mark, you can absolutely find homes. You can still find homes cheaper than $450,000, that's for sure, but they're going to be smaller than they used to be, right? If you're looking at something for $400,000, it might have been 4 bedrooms and 3 baths back then. Now it might be 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. That kind of thing is what I'm trying to articulate. And yes, as mentioned, just be aware of those property taxes. That is a thing here in Texas. Yeah, we have no state income tax, but the catch would be the property tax rates. If you're used to something that is 1%, 1.5%, 2%, gone are the days in Texas, right? You might still find some places that are in the low twos or maybe 2.5, but if you're talking about a place like Leander, I mean, it is going to be the high twos, 3%, and sometimes, as mentioned, even above 3%, which can kind of feel like a second mortgage according to some, not literally, but just how much you're paying every year, So just be mindful of that. I don't mean to deter you, but you want to be aware of those property taxes when you're getting your ducks in a row. Some people in the past have kind of lost sight of that, and then it hits them and it's like, oh shoot, we did not account for this. So that's why I like to bring it up. But yeah, in terms of affordability, otherwise in Leander, safe to say, whether you are a first-time home buyer or you're looking for something in the millions, Leander, Texas is still livable. And so there you have it, a brief overview, a general summary, the basics, the cliff notes of Leander, Texas. Is it a great place to live? Many would say yes. Is it a perfect place to live? I would say no, because of course, as always, it does depend on what you're looking for and what walk of life you're coming from. Maybe you prefer San Marcos, Texas. Maybe you prefer Georgetown. Maybe you prefer Austin itself, whatever it may be. That is what we are here for, helping people just like you who are wanting to relocate to the greater Austin area, find that perfect spot. But again, the only way we can do that is, yes, by you reaching out to us. So don't hesitate. Whether you are 9 days away or 90, reach out to our team, whether you shoot us a text, send us an email, give us a call any day of the week. Any time of day, it is what we love to do. And in case you haven't noticed by now, on this channel we talk about living in Austin, Texas, as well as the greater Austin area, the good and the bad, everything you can expect. So if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel and ringing that little bell to get notified anytime we put out a new video. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Click the like button if we've been providing any value for you. Share it with anybody you know. And until the next one, you guys, my name is Frank. This is Living in Austin, Texas, and we will absolutely catch you later.